As I expected, Thor is the life of the party, laughing the loudest, telling stories about his adventures in the other realms with the Warriors 3. Somewhere around 10, when Clint, Tony, and Bruce are clearly getting tipsy, Thor starts to teach them some Asgardian drinking songs. But every now and then when he hears a joke, I glimpse a moment of sorrow flicker across his face, and I know it's because he thinks his brother would have found it funny. And I wonder how much of his enjoyment is real, and how much he's putting on a show. It's a few minutes to midnight. I've gotten caught up in conversation with Pepper, who really is sweet and hospitable, and I realize that I haven't seen Thor for a while. He left to talk to Natasha, who honestly scares me a little, but I haven't seen him since, and I don't see him in the room. In honor of New Year's, Bruce is playing Auld Lang Syne on the piano, and the others are gathering around to sing, mumbling through the lyrics they don't know. Now I see Thor. His unmistakable silhouette is outside on the balcony, where no one else has ventured because of the cold. It's not like him to wander off by himself, so I wonder whether I should go to him, or if he'd rather be alone. I can't just ignore him, though, so I step out onto the balcony and hesitantly join him at the railing. He's staring off into the distance, at all the city lights. Idly I wonder how he can stand Midgard. It must seem so mundane and so dreary compared to his home. But then again, he always seems enamored with our technology, so maybe it's all in what you're used to. He has a glass of champagne, which looks like it will crack at any moment in his broad hand. His eyes are a little red, and it hits me like a knife that he's been trying not to cry. "Are you all right?" I ask, regretting it instantly. What a stupid question to ask.
Yes, I am well, thank you, Jane.
He tries to smile. His voice is hoarse. I wish that we weren't both so terrible at expressing our feelings with words. I wish I knew the right thing to say to him, so that he would know I'm here for him. But what if I just make things worse by bringing it up? "You know," I say slowly, putting a hand on his arm, "it's okay to not be okay. I mean," I hesitate, but it finally spills out. "I know you're not really the sharing type. I know you've got the whole warrior mentality thing going on Asgard, where you've got to be strong all the time and just keep going and all that. But it was just 2 months ago, Thor. When I lost my dad, I sure wasn't over it that fast." He doesn't say anything, and panic courses through me. I shouldn't have said anything. "I'm sorry, if you just want to be alone." I take a step back from him, but he tugs me back suddenly.
Please stay.
He murmurs.
You're the only good thing that has happened to me this year, Jane.
As much as I like Thor's bravado, often bordering on arrogance, his charm, his courage, I realize that it's the vulnerable Thor that I love. All of his strength and all of his honor can't fix his broken family, his broken heart. I wish I could. He clasps my hand. It seems so tiny and fragile under his, and we stare out over New York City. I wonder if he sees the present, or if he's thinking about battling his brother on this very spot, begging him to stop the invasion. Maybe I should get him inside so he won't think about that, but I'm not sure how. He takes a sip of his champagne, but he doesn't seem to care much for it. He prefers mead, I know.
Loki would have liked this drink, I think,
he says finally.
He never did have a great deal of tolerance for alcohol, so it is fortunate that he had better temperance than I. I only saw him truly inebriated twice, and it was very amusing.
It's the first time I've heard him say his brother's name in months, but I'm not sure what to say. But I think he just needs someone to listen. He's just thinking out loud.
He always hated revelries.
Thor muses, his voice still hoarse, but he smiles faintly.
He always skulked in a corner until he could sneak away to his books.
I can't pretend that I had any love for Loki. I barely know him for 2 days. Everything I heard about him made me angry. His betrayal of Thor especially. But I have to admit, as much as I stubbornly want to hate him for everything he's done, I can't. When I hear his name, I can't picture the megalomaniac trying to conquer New York City, even though I should. Instead, I see a man shielding me with his body from an explosion, because he knew I was important to Thor. I see a pale, broken figure lying limply in Thor's huge arms, apologizing in a small voice like a child before breathing his last. God, what's wrong with me? He wasn't anything to me, and after all the misery he put Thor through, surely I could properly hate him. Thor's grief is certainly way more than Loki deserved.
He died, thinking I had given up on him, Jane.
Thor says in a hollow voice.
One of the last conversations we had, I
put a hand on his cheek, trying to soothe him. If he was really as smart as everyone says he was, then he had to have known that wasn't true, I say firmly.
I don't wish to burden you with all this,
he mumbles. It's not a burden. I care about you. I want you to tell me these things if it helps. The words sound a bit stilted because I'm not used to saying them out loud, but I hope he knows how much I mean them. We hear the voices from inside, still singing a little off-key.
We two have paddled in the stream from morning sun till dawn, but seas between us broad have roared since all lang syne.
I can't really be sure, but I don't think Thor even sees New York City anymore. His eyes are far away. I think he sees 2 little boys sparring with wooden swords in a palace courtyard.
We were once inseparable, Jane. He got me out of trouble just as often as he got us into it. He always knew what to say to make me laugh. For 1,000 years, we were the Odin sons, future protectors of the 9 realms, eager to spend our lives by each other's sides. And then suddenly I looked, and there was a great chasm between us.
I press my face against his shoulder, trying to impart what comfort I can. For some reason, I feel wistful too, not just sorrow for Thor's sake, but nostalgic for that idyllic past he describes, romanticized though it might be. Suddenly, a great commotion, shouts from inside and from all around the city. It's midnight, I realize. It's the new year. I raise my glass. To those who have gone on before us, I say, gone but not forgotten. He seems to appreciate the gesture. I realize he must be lonely, the only one really grieving for Loki, because he smiles just a little bit as he toasts with me.
To Loki and Frigga,
he agrees. We finish our champagne. Thor puts his arm around me when he notices I'm shivering in the softly falling snow. And I realize this is the best New Year's Eve I've ever had. Not because it was romantic or fun, but because we are closer than we were before. He's not alone anymore.